Timing is everything in politics. Reform's conference is set against the backdrop of upheaval at the top of government, the Deputy Prime Minister's resignation and a cabinet reshuffle. Despite the headlines though, Number 10 rejects suggestions that they're in crisis.
This is about this second chapter of government. As I say, the Prime Minister was thinking about doing a broader reshuffle anyway. It's just been brought forward because of the need to replace Angela Rayner as Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary.
Angela Rayner's departure over not paying enough tax on a new flat triggered this ongoing reshuffle with new junior ministerial appointments this afternoon. Yesterday, Shabana Mahmood moved from Justice Secretary to Home Secretary, hinting at a tougher stance on issues like immigration.
Mr Farage, are you worried about Labour appearing to move towards the right?
They're going to go left sharply.
Why do you think that?
You watch it. In the campaign, they're going to go left.
Do you not think they could damage your appeal?
No photographers in here, please. Thank you very much. Sorry, mate. Thank you very much.
And not worried either, it seems, about inviting controversial guests onto their stage, including Lucy Connolly, jailed last year after pleading guilty to stirring up racial hatred against asylum seekers on social media, and vaccine sceptic Dr. Aseem Malhotra, who made a speech this afternoon called Make Britain Healthy Again.
One of Britain's most eminent oncologists, Professor Andrew Leach, said to me to share with you today that he thinks it's highly likely that the COVID vaccines have been a significant factor in the cancer of members of the royal family.
We're a party of free speech and expression and different views and ideas and thoughts, and that's really important. The idea that you can't talk about different ideas, different ways of looking at whatever it is, whether it's welfare, whether it's health, whether it's education, that's great. People come for the energy, the fringe events.
The fringe between Reform and the Conservatives could be narrowing. After unveiling Nadine Dorries yesterday, who else could they sign up? Well, here's another former Tory cabinet minister.
Because I'm actually talking to members,
okay,
but I'm not defecting. That's the one thing I expect
I just wanted to ask you quickly, what brings you here then?
Tory grandee Jacob Rees-Mogg wanted to meet Reform members rather than talk to us, but we kept trying.
Are you going to join Reform?
I refer the Honourable Gentleman to the answer I gave some moments ago and many times.
That's not a no though, is it?
It's exactly what I've said before.
Which
you
is?
must listen to what I say. I won't answer the same question 15 times because I've given you the answer. And I've given the answer to everyone here. I want to unite the right. I am a Tory. How many times do you need to be told that?
So you are considering joining Reform?
Have you ever read the Bible? Do you know about the deaf adder? Because you're doing a very good imitation of the deaf adder, who charm he never so nicely.
People here seem to want you to join Reform.
I didn't wish to be rude, but are you deaf?
There's no doubt Reform's a party on the rise. Proceedings concluded in Birmingham with a rendition of the national anthem, ensuring this conference ended on a high note.
Well, joining me now is political scientist Madeleine Sumption, who's Director of Migration Observatory at Oxford University. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I just wanted to ask, we're seeing what looks like a clear out at the Home Office with the Sir Keir Starmer and a new Home Secretary in Shabana Mahmood. What can she do differently that others haven't been able to do?
Well, I think it's too early to say precisely what the new Home Secretary is going to want to do differently. It's clear, though, that there's a lot of stuff sort of in train at the moment. So policies that have been announced, but not yet fully implemented and not really decided on at all. So actually, I think that she will be quite influential in deciding where to take the government. So just for example, there was a big policy announcement on what will be the rules for people not just being temporary migrants in the UK, but being able to stay permanently and then go on to citizenship. So that's quite a big, important policy that is yet to be announced and decided. There are announced policies on proposed restrictions on human rights, people getting status in the UK on human rights grounds.
For voters, though,
new policies
to cut across you, for voters, though, will that be enough? Will that not be just seen as tinkering around the edges for people who are listening to Reform UK today, thinking they're looking like they're going to take some action?
Well, I think voters are quite divided on what immigration policy should be. And so we see huge differences, for example, between Labour voters who tend to be a little bit more liberal on migration, or at least if not necessarily liberal, then migration is not particularly high up their list of priorities. And on the other end of the spectrum, of course, Reform voters for whom immigration is absolutely a priority. So I think, it's difficult, I think, to generalise about what it is that voters want right now because we have such a divided electorate.
With what tools that she has at her disposal, how likely is it that we could see something like digital ID cards? Do you think that that will be possibly one of the mechanisms that she'll use to put in place to reduce irregular migration?
I think clearly the government does appear to be considering digital ID cards. I think the key question, I don't think it revolutionises, it will have a revolutionary impact on the unauthorised migration situation in general, partly just because the employers, for example, who already turn a blind eye to the legal status of unauthorised migrants now will also do so probably under a new system. So I think that this is something that could have some impact at the margins, and it partly depends on, I think, what British people want an ID card to do, because if you're going to have an ID card requirement, it can't just be for migrants. In order for it to make any difference to anything, it needs to be something that everyone uses. And so that's what I think will be the controversial part of the debate is, what will the government expect and what will people expect all British citizens to need to do with that ID card.
And I do wonder, what do you make of Reform UK saying that they can stop the boats in 2 weeks? Is that feasible, given the knowledge that you have about migration policy? Would that work?
I think 2 weeks is certainly a bit of a stretch. I think in general, stopping the boats is difficult. The big questions basically are, I think, if for any strategy to reduce the number of people coming in small boats is, can a significant number of people be sent back to France or to other countries? And that's really a kind of diplomatic challenge, persuading countries like France or other safe countries to take people back. And what kind of enforcement can be done in the water on the coast of northern France. Again, the UK is very reliant on France for this.
Madeleine, thank you very much for your time. Sorry to cut you off there, we're running out of time. But Madeleine Sumption, the Director of the Migration Observatory at Oxford University, thank you.